I have a really cool story to share. If you know me, you know I'm absolutely fascinated with how thoughts become things, and how you think and how you feel shapes your whole life. So, my son and daughter in law decided they wanted to move closer to me and her mom and her family, and they started looking for a home. There was one very close to my house, and they both loved it but felt like it was too much out of their price range, but they couldn't get it out of their mind. And I think just as they decided to talk to the seller was a local doctor, but the doctor didn't live here anymore. That she lived in another state. Anyway, she took it off the market because she had been talking to some people and had agreed to rent this house to them. And it was sort of devastating because at that point, everybody had drove over there, looked at the house, and sort of fallen in love with it. So anyway, long story short, they started talking about another house. And I wouldn't accept that. I 100% believed that this house was theirs. My husband believed that house was theirs, and we talked about it like it was their house. I would get in my car, I would get in my van and drive and say, I'm going to Emmy's house, because my granddaughter is Emma. And I would say, I'm going to Emmy's house. And I would drive over there, and I knew which room was going to be hers. And I would feel the feeling of the joy and happiness of them living there and enjoying the home, and the happiness I would feel for them. This took about a month, I think. And somehow, through a series of perfectly aligned events, it just happened so wonderfully. My son and daughter-in-law's house that they were trying to sell, when they put it on the market within a couple of hours. I think they listed it around 1 or 2 o'clock in the evening. By 6 p.m., people had looked at it and signed a contract on it. First people that looked at it bought that house. The people that were going to rent the house that they had fallen in love with kind of flaked out, and that didn't work out. They were able to contact the owner who had taken it off the market, and they worked out this deal. The seller of the home they wanted negotiated on the price where they were more comfortable. They were able to actually move in before the house was officially theirs by about a week, I think. Everything worked out so wonderfully, so perfect. And I'm not trying to take credit for anybody's blessing. That's not what I'm saying. But I felt the feeling of them living there, and the joy of that, the joy of having them so close, the joy of knowing my granddaughter was going to grow up in such a beautiful home with a lovely little creek in the backyard. I would see the dogs. I have 2 great dogs, and I would just imagine them in the yard. And so I used my imagination. I remember looking, the kitchen's beautiful. And I went into the kitchen when they let me look at the house, initially, when they first started looking at it. And I just imagined the casseroles at Thanksgiving lined up there on the counter. I just used my imagination. I felt the feelings of the, feeling of them living there. And I was a little delusional, I guess, when I would just, against all, when the odds were stacked against them getting this house to the point they were talking about a different house, I wouldn't even accept it. I was like, no, this is your house. And I would say the name of the house. We sort of had a name for this house. And it worked out. They got that house. They live in there. It's theirs. They are the owners of that home now. And they're really happy and full of joy to live there. And I'm very happy for them. And so I think if you want something to happen in your life, if you'll just focus on it and not have all your happiness be dependent on it working out exactly as you've imagined it, but just imagine what you want and feel those feelings, and your life will be great. Don't focus on things that you don't want. Focus on what you want. And I'm a firm believer in law of attraction. And so when you focus on what you want, because like energies attract like energies, what you want will be brought to you. And your life will be good.